Continuation of the topic. Aqueous sodium hydroxide was added until an excess to separate the solution. So different solutions are there. First, when we add sodium hydroxide, these are the observations. With W, there is a white PPT, and then precipitate dissolve. So it can be aluminium. For X, white PPT, but there is no visible change or no change is there. So because with sodium hydroxide, white PPT, with excess of sodium hydroxide, the precipitate does not dissolve. So it can be calcium. A pale blue precipitate, no change, so it can be copper too. And a green precipitate, no change, so it will be iron too. So metal ion, that is aluminium, present in W, because this is related to memorizing the identification of ion. In solution X, it means it is calcium. Solution Y, it is copper. And solution Z, it is iron 2. So A is the right answer for this. In question 31, the part of a periodic table is shown which element has 2 electrons in the outer shell. So element with 2 electrons in the outer shell, it means group 2. And 3 electron shells. So 3 electron shell means period 3 or third period. So when we check, the only 2 elements are there in the first period, and that is hydrogen and helium. So this is first period. In terms of period, this is the first. And then this is the second period. So this will be the third period. So this element is in period 3. This is period 2. And when we check the group, because number of electron in the outer shell, that shows a group number. So these B and C both belongs to group 2. But because C is group 2 and period 3, so it matches with all the description given in the question. So that's why C is the right answer. So in a periodic table, we can locate, we can identify the position. Like if I say, what is the group of A? So A belongs to group 1. And what is the period? Which period it belongs to? So this is period 1. So A belongs to period 2. So when we check identification of A in terms of group and period, so A belongs to group 1 and it belongs to period 1. What about B? B belongs to group 2 and period 2. What about C? It belongs to group 2 and period 3. And what about D? This is group 3, 4, 5 and 6. So this is group 6. And what about the period? So D belongs to group 6. And which period it belongs to? It belongs to period 3. So we can identify the position of the element, their groups and the period from the periodic table. Which is not the property of group 1. They are soft. Yeah, that's right. They react with oxygen. That's also correct. They don't form acidic solution. They form alkaline solution. So C is not the property of group 1. D is a property of group 1. They react rapidly with water, gives off hydrogen gas and make the solution alkaline. Question 33, compound T is added to dilute sulfuric acid. So this is a test for sulfite ion. And it give a flame color lilac, that means potassium is there. So what is this compound? One result shows potassium, another sulfite. So it is potassium sulfite, ITE. Because potassium sulfate is different and sulfate, there's a test. We add barium nitrate or barium chloride to test the sulfate. But if it is sulfite, we add hydrochloric acid, heat, and test the gas with a potassium manganate. In question 34, part of the periodic table is shown. So you can see the part of periodic table. Which row correctly describe the properties of element W, X, Y, and Z? So W belongs to group 1. Z is a transition element. This is group 4. Group 4 means they will be like, they will have a tendency, or 4 electrons will be there in the outermost shell, or they will have a tendency to form a long chain compound or catenation or macromolecule. And what about Y? That is a group 8. As we know, it is group 8, so it will be unreactive. Number 1 has variable oxidation state. So which one? Because transition element is a characteristic of transition. So it can be C, it can be D. Then react with cold water, because group 1 alkali metals are highly reactive, they can react with cold water. Unreactive, so Y is unreactive, that's true. And X will have, because belongs to group 4, so it will have 4 electron in the outermost shell. So option C is the right answer for this. Is it clear? Then question 35, which statement about the trend across the period is correct? So across the period, when we move across the period, what happened? Because the metallic character across the period, it decreases, and down the group it increases. So when we move from left hand side of a periodic table to the right hand side, means across the period,